UFC 309, Madison Square Garden. Great night, great card. I told everybody. On paper, it looks like crap. When you really deep dive into it, like when I was doing my analysis, when I saw the fight style, when I saw who was fighting, I said, damn, this might actually be pretty good. And I stand by that. I think it was a decent card. I think we got what we expected. John Jones, the GOAT, proved he was the GOAT. I think we had a few upsets, if you ask me. Those of you who are my exclusive, premium members on Instagram, I would apologize, but I'm not going to because I feel like I made all the right calls. And if you see my breakdown and analysis, everybody I chose was for the right reasons. And I'm going to go through everything now and just kind of, talk about everything. But do I regret the card? And the betting and the analysis? No, I think everything was pretty straightforward, and a lot of things that I mentioned happened. We were just on the wrong side of a few things, so it is what it is. But let's talk about it. Veronica Hardy, Eduardo Mora. I called Eduardo Mora, and I called her by decision. I put half unit on it. It hit. She won. Plus 120, the underdog of the night for me. Should have been the underdog of the night. Oban Elliott against Basil Hafez. I was fearing Basil Hafez. One of the things I did say that I was wrong about was Oban Elliott not having knockout power. That's something I said. I was wrong. Going to the third round, he got it done, man. Basil Hafez looked good. He was a step behind everything. But ultimately, he got caught. It's that simple. My biggest regret of the night, besides Charles Oliveira, was Mickey Gall, Ramiz Brahimaj. Bro, Mickey Gall, I hate to say it, but he's getting cut. It's over. We're done. We're toast. And for those of you who are new here, guys, I just talk to you guys like my community, the MMA casual community. Subscribe if you'd like it, if you don't. But I talk very casual. I get on here and I just yap. No editing. One full shot. That's why you see me here almost burping. I just ate. I feel like shit. It's been a long weekend. It's Sunday at like 11 p.m. at night. I work tomorrow. So just to get the transparency aspect of this. But be sure to subscribe. Long story short, Mickey Gall. What the hell? Came in here. In my opinion, this was win or go home. Go home. He came in stiff. He established his jab. His jab looked really good in my opinion, but he was just... Ramiz wanted it more, man, and he got it with that first round knockout. It was pretty ugly, and, unfortunately, Mickey Gall was my lock of the night. Lock of the freaking night, dude. Marcin Tybura, Janata Denise. I was so right about this. I said I was on the fence. I was till the very last second. Even I put out my prediction. I put out this video. I put out my predictions. I had Janata Denise in both, and I said I should go Tybura. Like, a last part of me was like, man, bet Tybura. And I was like, put out a statement on my Instagram saying I'm going Tybura instead of Denise, because I've had that before where people are like, yo, but you said this. So I stuck with my video. And in the video even, I said, hey, I'm on the fence, and Denise is the worst Brazilian of all time. He cannot grapple. And if Tybura takes him down, this fight is over. It's exactly what happened. Tybura took him down. I can't believe Denise lasted the first round. It was incredible. I was like, dude, this guy's toast. For someone, a heavyweight, to mount you, full mount you, throw elbows and other ground and pound, and you survive 3 minutes is nuts. And then for it to happen again and you survive is absolutely madness. But Denise made it to the end of round 2, but there was so many elbows and such bad cuts. I don't know what they asked him in the corner. The doctors asked him, and they ultimately stopped the fight. I'm not a fan of that because English isn't his first language. So I'm a big believer, a firm believer of getting a translator in there. But yeah, it is what it is. They stopped the fight going into the third, and Tybura won, and that was another wrong call of mine. Actually, the first wrong call of mine because... Oh, no. Mickey Gall was a wrong call, and then him, yeah. David Onama, Roberto Romero. I got to apologize about Roberto Romero. One of the things I said, I don't know much about this kid, but all I said was David Onama significantly better. I come back to this video and say I was significantly wrong. Wow. Roberto Romero, what a fun fighter. I cannot wait to see that kid again. David Onama ultimately got the best of him. David Onama ultimately was more conditioned, and in my opinion, a slight better fighter. I don't think he's significantly better than Roberto Romero. Roberto Romero is a great mixed martial artist, had a great pace, and has a huge heart. I love this kid from Mexico, man. Again, I'm dying to see him again, but David Anama ultimately got that fight, and I agree with it. Damon Jackson versus Jim Miller. Damon Jackson, one leg out of a 2-leg parlay that I said was a lock. I was just so sure he was the first leg and the only leg that didn't hit it. But round one, Jim fucking Miller jumps a guillotine when Damon Jackson goes for a sloppy takedown, gets his neck, and it's all said and done. 2:44 into round number one. Jim fucking Miller beats Damon Jackson. And I'm waiting for Jim Miller to completely empty the tank. It's not there. Even if he's losing to elite contenders or this, that, the other, it's just... This guy belongs in the top 25 at all times, no matter what. He'll beat the up-and-comer. He'll find a way. He'll out-experience him, outsmart him, whatever it is. Jim fucking Miller, ruining my parlays. Chris Weidman, Eric Anders. That fight got canceled. Something happened to Anders. I don't care too much to talk about it because I didn't care too much about that fight to begin with. Jonathan Martinez, Marcus McGee. That was the second leg of the Damon Jackson parlay I had. Marcus McGee, who ultimately won a decision. Fun fight. Jonathan Martinez, as we spoke about, left his old gym, starting his own gym. He was the underdog. Marcus McGee, I thought his explosiveness, his pace was just going to be too much. I got to be honest with you. I took a shit here. First two rounds, in my opinion, Marcus McGee had the better fight, had the round one, but there was a freaking leg kick, which I did mention in the analysis. Jonathan Martinez is all leg kicks, which everybody knows. Really, it's nothing impressive. But he hit a leg kick that Marcus McGee completely, it either hit his nerve or some shit. He could not bear weight. And we saw Marcus McGee circling out of the octagon for 3 minutes, not being able to put weight on his right leg. And I'm happy about that. But my only regret for Jonathan Martinez is, why aren't you pushing the pace? He stepped forward a couple times and Marcus McGee was able to plant himself. He would even switch stances. Even after that kick, he would switch stances. And he was still lethal because he was throwing some crazy hooks that Jonathan Martinez obviously respected. But there was a few times where I'm just like, man, like, take him to the cage. Like, be willing to take one to give one. And Jonathan Martinez didn't do enough. But I think a different fighter in that position applies so much pressure that you break down Marcus McGee, because you have a guy who's immobile almost. He was able to move around, but when you really pull forward, even if you take some of his worst punches, step forward, hit another leg kick, start, mixing it up, Marcus McGee would have crumbled. In my opinion, I thought he was in position to be finished, but Jonathan Martinez could not capitalize, and we ended there. Moving on to the main card, Mauricio Ruffy versus James Lontop. Guys, or James Lontop, whatever. He's from Peru. I don't know how you pronounce it properly. Minus 900 for Mauricio Ruffy. I love this guy. Another one of my bets that drives me crazy. I had him finishing this fight within round number 1 or 2. And you know what bothers me? He could have done it in round 1 or 2. Ruffy literally in the last 15 seconds of round number 1 had James hurt. Mr. Lontop. In round number 2, he almost finished him, but instead of going in for the kill, he goes for this swirly, dirty conspiracy kick. I don't know what the hell it was. And then he also wobbles him at one point and then just goes to the ground with him. And listen, the fighting nerds are the real deal. Some people say Ruffy's the best one. I disagree. I think his fight IQ, to me, took a huge hit. My opinion on it. His striking is impeccable. He's this guy, which I respect a lot, who waits for his shots. But you're not putting this guy over Prates. You're not putting him over John Silva. And you're not putting him over Caio Borralho, in my opinion, right now. Good guy, but I think he expected too much out of his own performance, and it didn't fall through. You go for the finish. You're not a superstar just yet. Just relax with the spinning back freaking headbutts. Go for the kill. Finish the fight. That's how you gain respect here. He fucked up and he took it to decision, and I think you lose credibility there. When you're a minus 900 favorite, you should be, mopping the floor with this guy. Vivi Araujo, Karine Silva. Guys, I got to be honest with you. Karine Silva just gassed out. She didn't have enough in the tank. Vivi outpaced her. Vivi was able to take her best shots. And one thing I said about Karine Silva, I thought this was going to be a close fight, but what I said was Silva always goes for the kill, which she did. But it just seemed like Vivi had an edge the whole time. I don't know what I attribute the loss to. Like, I've broken down each one. I just think that it was Vivi's night and it wasn't Karine's. Straight up. I just think that Vivi had a better night. She was more of herself. Karine gassed out a little bit, and Vivi took her to a decision, and she won fair and square. Bo Nickal, Paul Craig. Speaking of living up to your odds and your name, minus 1350, Paul Craig plus 800. Guys, I didn't expect a takedown here. I really didn't. I didn't think it was going to be much of that. I said Bo Nickal steamrolls. And I said, I think he knocks him out. I think he knocks out Paul Craig. And you know what? Paul Craig gave him the openings several times. Paul Craig cannot strike. Holy shit, that guy sucks at striking. But Bo Nickal did not deliver. Bo Nickal did not. And I think a part of Bo Nickal was a little bit in fear of grappling with Paul Craig. Bo Nickal said, we're kind of even. It's that classic wrestling versus BJJ on the mats. And, you know, I could get into trouble. Or I have a significant advantage in striking. But I think he overestimated himself, and I think the striking was a little closer than he expected. Do I think Bo Nickal won? Yes. I think actually it was 29-27. 29-28, sorry. 29-28. They gave him a 30-27 round. I don't think it was. I think Paul Craig took the first one. I think he did. And second and third, I do give to Bo Nickal. So he ended up winning the fight, but lackluster. And if you watch that fight and you tell people, hey, what do you think the odds were? You could fuck around and say it was a pick'em. You could say Bo Nickal was maybe the minus 180, Paul Craig plus 110 type thing. But that fight was not a minus 1350 type of odd type of fight. And I know I just freaking word vomit there, but Bo Nickal, I mean, you had a huge opportunity to skyrocket into that top 5 and start talking about title contention and you're the real deal and Dana White's baby. He didn't perform. And I think this hurts him. I think this hurts his value. I really do think so. Charles Oliveira, Michael Chandler. My dog in the night. Michael Chandler, 2-year or almost 3-year layoff, waiting for McGregor, training, looking better than ever. Physique, never seen anything like it. He looked like freaking Buzz Lightyear. Guys, it was win or go home in my opinion. And ultimately I said, I think he's hungry enough to get it done. When we look at the Charles side, yes, big for the division. Elite, only fights the elite. His only loss recently to Islam and Arman. But I remember watching the third round of Arman Tsarukyan versus Charles Oliveira and seeing Charles just gassed and on his back and trying to slip in some sneaky submission that would never come. And I said, man, if we get past round 3 and Chandler wrestles, what do we see? Long story short, Charles Oliveira came in condition. Charles Oliveira, in all 4 of the first rounds, the first 4 rounds, he had Michael Chandler on the ground for 2 to 3 minutes at the time on his back or mounted, trying to get submissions. And he just couldn't finish. But it was scary stuff, man. Like, my heart rate, 110 the whole time. I'm like, what the freak? Not really 110. I don't know what it was. But I was like, holy shit. He's going to finish him. He gets away. Round 2, got him down with 3 minutes left. He's going to finish him. Got out of it. Round 3, same thing. Going to finish him. And Michael Chandler, I just want to give credit to him. Wow. I cannot believe he got out of the freaking Anaconda's choke. Because Charles Oliveira, you know, submits you like white on rice. He's just all over you. He's this octopus in the canvas, and he could not finish Michael Chandler. Ultimately, Oliveira wins in decision, but we got to talk about the 5th round. Michael Chandler comes in and says, I need a Hail Mary. Oliveira's a little tired at this point. You've held a body lock for like 15 minutes at this point. You're exhausted. Chandler catches him with like a hook, steps forward, 1-2, hits him again. He drops Oliveira, and Oliveira all of a sudden is almost in the fetal position up against the cage, and then that's when Chandler comes in. And this is where I have a problem with the referee. Chandler had to throw like 30 punches there, and 20 of them must have landed on the back of Charles' head. Not a warning, not a stoppage, nothing. I was like, oh my God, he's going to win. They're going to stop this freaking fight. I was like, I did it. I fucking called it right. Boom, boom, boom. Back of the head. Boom, back of the head. Temple, back of the head. Elbow to the back of the head. Whatever he wanted, Michael Chandler did. Ref, nowhere to be found. He had his VR headset on. But all of a sudden, Chandler's able to flip over, get on his back. And you know what Michael Chandler does? With 2.5 minutes left and his opponent dead, chin's gone, just ready to be defeated. You know what Chandler does? He stays on top of him. Full guard. And that's where Michael Chandler lost the fight. In 4 rounds, him about to be submitted, I didn't think he lost the fight. When he made the decision to not get Charles up after he was insanely hurt and he basically threw a piano on the back of his head, that's where I knew Michael Chandler, his IQ really showed. Because that's when I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I said, Michael Chandler's IQ is not going to show here. He's going to be a little smarter than usual. Boy, was I wrong. Right then and there, you get him back up. He's hurt. His chin's gone. He's exhausted. His legs are gone. You finish him. Michael Chandler didn't do that. Long story short, Oliveira ends up on his back, and that's where Chandler kind of comes to the center of the octagon, gets up with Charles as a backpack, gets on it, gets to the center of the octagon, gets the crowd going, flips back down on the canvas, gets up again, flips back down on the canvas, and then that's all she wrote. I mean, Charles won that fight fair and square. Next up, Jon Jones, Stipe Miocic. Jon Jones, minus 625. The real lock of the night, let's be honest. I put no money on this fight, though. Stipe, plus 455. Guys, Jon Jones outclassed Stipe. I mean, there's not much to talk about if you saw this fight. First round, Stipe could have been gone. A few more elbows. Jon Jones took him down with just an insane takedown. An insane judo takedown to a 250-pound man, like if it was nothing. Like if it was nothing. And we're talking about a wrestler. We're talking about someone who was a D1 wrestler. We're talking about someone who's considered the best heavyweight of all time. Just on his back for the last 2 minutes of the round, and Jon Jones is throwing every type of elbow he has. I don't think he ended up throwing the 12-6 elbow. Would have loved it. But he threw every elbow in the arsenal. Ground and pound. Stipe got away. Round 2, some of the same, but it wasn't on the ground, just striking. And here's where Stipe starts slowing down, in my opinion. Just reaction time is slow. He had a few moments, but he just wasn't there. And ultimately, we get to the 3rd round, and let's cut it short. Spinning back kick right to the oblique on the left side. So not the liver side, which I love that Joe Rogan corrected Jon Jones. He's like, yeah, right in the liver. He goes, well, it was on the other side. But the other side, so just a body shot, spinning leg kick, heel, just fucking pierces through almost. And that's all she wrote. Jon Jones, the greatest of all time. And when he gets on the mic, Joe Rogan does a great job. Hey, are you done right now? Who's next? What are we doing? And he takes that time to thank Jesus. He says, guys, I want to take this time to thank Jesus. Since I have so many people listening. Jon Jones, we know about your history. We know your record. Don't you stand there in the middle of the octagon and thank Jesus, sir. We know what you've done. Again, we know your record. Take it easy with the Jesus stuff. It's a little corny. But what he did say was that he needs to think about it. He's going to, if he fights somebody else and he gives us what we want, which everybody knows that's Tom Aspinall. Joe Rogan tried to get it out of him, but he wouldn't say the name. He said, we got to talk money. And then Dana White on the post-fight press conference went ahead and said, he's going to get the money. We're going to let Jon Jones do Jon Jones, which is he's going to go hide. And when he's ready, he's going to call us. And we're going to have something for Jon Jones. So hopefully we do. I think he's not done. I think Jon Jones wants a proper retirement. So the fact that he didn't retire right then and there says a lot. I think he is going to step back in the octagon. But let's see who against. Maybe he takes too much time. Aspinall fights somebody else. I'm not going to get too excited. But the future's bright. And the UFC looks nice right now. Very good card. Very good fights. The greatest of all time cemented it. It is what it is. Let me know what you think, guys. Be sure to subscribe. I appreciate all of you. Like I said, uncut, unedited. Again, appreciate all of you guys. Check me out on Instagram. Be sure to subscribe. Have a good one.